Because you was ready to get off your chest the other day. That's why
I had built up for 4 years.
Okay.
So almost 4 years. No, 3.5 years, because we was cool for the first year and a half. But yeah.
Take that hard drive. You said yes.
100%,
Break this shit down.
She took the hard drive, and I'm gonna tell you when she took it and how she took it. The second day after Vaughn, Vaughn died. Then the second day we flew out there. She said she wasn't talking about her and this and that. So, but you know, people be lying though. So,
so basically, it came from the sneak diss and tweets, and the whole family really felt
sneak diss and tweets, but it be like tweets that
King Von's cousin just dropped a bomb. This ain't no rumor. This ain't internet cap. He's finally speaking up, and what he said, it confirms what everybody been thinking from jump. There's way more to King Von's death than what they told us. Turns out, Vaughn might have still been breathing when they took him to the hospital after that shooting. But that's not even the wildest part. Baylo said Vaughn's own sister, Kayla B, was involved. She knew what happened. And now that people looking back at her flexing in that brand new Range Rover right after Vaughn died, yeah, it's not sitting right. Now we know why folks been side-eyeing her. It's crazy. So let's get straight into it. All these years later, the truth is finally cracking through. After King Von got shot, he didn't pass away on that scene like they made it seem. He was still holding on. When they got him to the hospital, something wasn't adding up. Baylo said Vaughn looked around and saw something that made him snap. Somebody at that hospital wasn't supposed to be there. Baylo said Vaughn saw the dude who shot him right there in the same hospital. That's when Vaughn jumped out the bed, ready to go to war again. He was asking for his blick. Now this part is where it turns into a full-blown movie. CCTV footage supposedly shows Vaughn getting up, looking for his weapon. Straight chaos. Nurses didn't know what to do. Instead of saving him, they stood around confused. Vaughn died from shock, not from the bullet wounds, but from how his body reacted when he realized what was happening. This wasn't a random moment. This was deeper. Foul play? Yeah. Baylo made it clear. He don't know where it came from, but something shady was definitely in the mix. Baylo been moving around for years. Podcast after podcast. But this latest interview? Different. He's saying Vaughn went through 2 surgeries. Successful ones. He was supposed to make it. Then all of a sudden, after waking up and looking for his gun, he dies? That ain't adding up. And then Kayla B pops back up in the story. According to Baylo, she called him and told him Vaughn had 3 surgeries lined up. She said he got through 2. How she know that? She wasn't even at the hospital. Kayla told the public 2 different stories. First, she said she wasn't at the hospital. Then she turned around and said she was. That switch up alone had fans raising eyebrows. People ain't stupid. They remember she was at the club that night. Vaughn was in Atlanta for his album release party. She was at the same club, then left early. But she didn't show up to the hospital even after hearing her brother got shot. That's when people really started putting pieces together.
Found out Vaughn was dead. Let's start there, because that's...
So I'm the one called her and told her.
So Kayla B, so you telling me Kayla B wasn't there?
Let me tell you.
Was Kayla B there or not?
And now, let's talk about that Range Rover. Right after Vaughn died, Kayla B pulled up with a new one. Clean, shiny, whole new whip. She said 21 Savage bought it for her. Fans were quick to point out how weird that looked. Why would 21 Savage buy her a car right after Vaughn died? She said she had been dating his little brother and had a long-standing bond with him. But the timing? Suspect. Real suspect.
21 Savage, he bought you a Range Rover?
Yeah.
Okay. And was that random? You knew that was coming, or?
No, I didn't know it was coming. They say Vaughn was sneaking up to Range Rover every day because he was about to buy me a Range Rover for my birthday. And I guess he had heard Vaughn, was going to do that, so he had bought me a Range Rover.
It gets even messier. 21 Savage went on to say he was with Lil Durk in Houston when Vaughn got shot. He said they was at the bowling alley, and he got the call like 2 minutes after it happened. But here's the thing. Fans called him out because Durk was actually on Instagram Live in a car when the news hit. So the whole bowling alley story was fake. People started calling it out, saying this whole story smells like lies, saying 21 and Durk knew more than they were letting on. Now here's where it hits different. Durk and Vaughn were co-defendants in an attempted case, Atlanta shooting. One man got hit, lot of evidence, then Vaughn dies. Suddenly, Durk's charges get dropped. Prosecution said they didn't have enough evidence. Fans weren't buying it. They said Vaughn took the fall. Said Durk might have used his death to slide out that case clean. Witnesses said they saw Durk fire a weapon. Footage even showed his arm sticking out a car window letting off shots. Even Charleston White, known for speaking reckless but sometimes hitting real nerves, once said he believed Lil Durk was the one who set up Von. And now with Durk allegedly facing for higher charges, it's looking extra weird. Von's death benefited Durk. The charges from that Atlanta shooting just disappeared. Poof. Gone. Like Von took the whole case with him to the grave.
Lil Durk and Lil Baby, they unfollowed Gunna.
Lil Durk told on King Von. That's how he beat his charges. Lil Durk told on King Von. That's how he got his charges beat.
Probable cause for possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, participation in a criminal street gang activity, aggravated assault, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and criminal attempt to commit.
Then there's Kayla B again. According to multiple reports, right after Von died, she went straight to his place and cleared out his walk-in closet, took anything valuable. Shoes, clothes, jewelry, you name it. Fans started whispering. Some said it looked like she wasn't grieving, she was looting.
She took some, I think like 2 pair of mirrors, a jacket, and some like a shirt or something. And she took the Louis suitcase. So I ain't say, I literally watched her take it. I wasn't thinking none of it. Like, he got a lot of telling her, like, go under this cabinet for the hard drive, the hard drive's under this cabinet, this and that. I'm still not thinking none of it because I took that and stuffed it in a suitcase.
And the weirdest part? There were always rumors floating that her relationship with Von wasn't just sibling love, that maybe, just maybe, there was something more. Something the rest of us wasn't supposed to see.
We was just real close. I used to be stealing from my brother, like all type of shit. I used to be at all his court dates. Like, my other brothers and sisters, they weren't really doing that shit for real.
The district attorney in Georgia, Fannie Willis, added more fuel to the fire. She said if Von was still alive, he would have been indicted in that case. That statement had everybody's head spinning. Think about it. That means all the weight of that case shifted to Von once he was gone. Convenient. Real convenient. And it explains why some people believe Von was left out to dry. Like somebody close to him stood to benefit from him being out the picture. The streets aren't stupid. They've been keeping tabs, watching everything unfold. Baylo coming forward like this is just another puzzle piece. He said what a lot of people been scared to say. Kayla B, moving funny. Durk, beat a case that should have stuck. 21 Savage, handed out a Range Rover like it was hush money. Von didn't just die from bullets. He died in a situation full of snakes, lies, and betrayal. But to really get to the bottom of this, we gotta go way back. Back to when the whole deadly King Von situation first started to spiral. At first glance, it looked like typical rap drama, fueled by women. Everybody was saying the beef started over Jania, NBA Youngboy's baby mama. But Von and Jania weren't even together like that. And neither were Jania and Youngboy. The narrative got messy fast. People were saying Von hooked up with Jania. Some were calling it a publicity stunt, others swore it was personal. Either way, it was clear Von was poking the bear when he started calling out NBA Youngboy on IG Live. He said Youngboy was lying in his raps, basically calling him fake, saying he had cap in his rap. Youngboy, who was a much bigger name at the time, ignored it, but Von kept going.
That's cap. You got cap in your raps.
Go straight, boss. Don't hit the white lady.
You got cap in your raps.
He started dissing more, dragging Youngboy's baby mama into it. Suddenly, Jania's at a studio session with Von, rumors flying that they slept together. Then the pettiest plot twist ever. Youngboy gets Asian Doll, Von's ex, to his house for a song. People instantly started saying he smashed her too. This was no longer just rap beef, it became a messy, calculated tit-for-tat game. Baby mama versus baby mama, ex versus ex, diss versus diss. Then Von tweets, "Y'all wouldn't believe the female I just made a hit with." Next thing you know, pics surface of him with Jania. Boom, internet meltdown. Jania jumps on social media trying to downplay it. But then here comes Asian Doll, throwing a big old wrench into that narrative. She goes live and confirms it. They did sleep together. She even says she saw the DMS, and that the song story, a straight up lie.
People say, you know, Asian Doll was at Youngboy's crib. Do you feel like that was the beginning of the shit that, you know, we see today?
Yeah, it's probably true because it probably was true because knowing her.
Youngboy, he's fed up now, so he claps back hard. He posts a photo with the caption, "I'm going to make sure my son F your daughter since you trolling." And yeah, Von has a daughter, so that message, loud and clear. At this point, Asian Doll and Youngboy start making moves. Von's spiraling. The trolling gets louder, the shade is everywhere. And the thing is, all this disrespect, it was never going to stay online. It all came to a head on November 6, 2020. Von had just dropped his debut album, Welcome to O Block. He and his crew left Opium nightclub and pulled up at Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta. At the same time, Quando Rondo and his boy Lil Tim were in the area, supposedly chilling in their car outside the club. But here's the deal. Von gets word that Quando's out there. No hesitation. He hops out of his ride and heads straight for Quando. His crew follows. Von runs up on Quando and starts swinging. Like, no words, just hands. Quando goes down, getting jumped by Von's crew. Out of nowhere, Lil Tim comes out from behind the car with a gun and starts shooting. Von gets hit in the torso. Off-duty cops nearby hear the shots and start letting off too. Lil Tim gets hit. It's chaos. Von's guys scoop him up and speed to the hospital. Quando and Lil Tim do the same. Von doesn't make it through surgery. He dies that night. But that's where the real questions begin. First off, Von wasn't even in his bulletproof truck that night. The same bulletproof truck he always rode in, switched out. That night of all nights, they had him in a regular vehicle. Bo, Von's cousin, straight up said, if Von didn't get out that car and fight, the plan was to shoot up the car. Like, either way, someone wanted him gone. Bulletproof truck, gone. His usual driver, replaced with some random African guy. Make it make sense. Even Von's manager, Track, claimed in interviews that Von was in the bulletproof truck. But Bo and others close to him say otherwise. So, was someone lying or trying to cover tracks?
And when we left, I jumped in the same car, but he jumped with the security in a bulletproof truck. So when I came to the car, we've been waiting outside for like almost 40 minutes. It was freezing, like, bro, ridiculously cold.
And then get this, Quando and Lil Tim. They were already at the same club Von was performing at earlier, Opium. DJ U, Von's DJ, spotted them there. So now we're asking, was this whole thing just a coincidence? Or were they low-key stalking Von all night? Now don't get it twisted. Quando and Lil Tim definitely played a role. Von ran up on them and Lil Tim fired those fatal shots. But when you zoom out, it starts looking like they were just pawns.
Well, you pull out and you shoot 4 times.
Yeah, the gun jammed.
Oh, the gun jammed?
Yeah.
After the 4th shot?
Probably like the 3rd shot.
Okay.
This wasn't just some random street brawl. It was clean, quick, surgical. Almost like somebody knew exactly where Von would be, what he'd do, and how it would play out. Why wasn't his team stopping him from running up on Quando? Why was his vehicle switched? Why were his ops at the same events all night? There's more to this than just baby mama beef or rap disses. Von's people believe the setup started long before the parking lot. It was in the distractions, the internet beef, the female drama. All that noise kept him from seeing the bigger picture, that someone wanted him out the way. Think about it. Von was becoming a real force, street credibility, charting music, a loyal fan base. He was disrupting the industry, and some folks, they ain't like that. So yeah, Quando pulled the trigger. Lil Tim fired the shots. But the puppet masters, still hiding in the shadows. And just when we thought we heard it all, Baylo came through and flipped the whole story on its head. He said what a lot of people were too scared to say. Von didn't just die, he was failed by the people around him, by the industry, by a system that wanted him gone. Baylo made it very clear. Somebody close helped orchestrate that night. The hospital, the team, even the streets, they all played a part. And now, it's up. The cover-up cracked wide open. Because once the streets get that info, ain't no turning back. You can't unhear it. The truth is out there now. And let's go a step further. What if Kayla B was used in this whole thing? I mean, think about it. Some folks in the industry were already feeling jealous of Von's rise. The streets was rocking with him heavy. His star power was climbing fast. What better way to get at him than through the people he trusted most? Some insiders are even saying it's possible Kayla was a pawn, used to bait Von into going to that club that night, lured into the trap. And let's not forget, Quando Rondo and Von were actually cool once upon a time.
You walked up to King Von to dap him up. Can you take us through that night?
I don't even remember that night.
So how did it escalate that fast? Who fanned the flames behind the scenes? It's giving orchestrated beef. It's giving somebody wanted this to go left. So let me ask you all, was King Von set up by the very people he called family? Is the rap industry protecting the real people behind his death? And did Baylo just risk it all by exposing what they tried to bury? Let's talk about it. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I need to hear what you think about this because it's getting spooky out here. And don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe if you're not already part of the crew. And check out the next video popping up on your end screen. Trust me, you won't want to miss it.